Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Does my mic sound good? I'm going to check it on my end real quick before we get started. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. Hello. Okay, so it sounds good on my end. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So, of course, I want to discuss Love Island USA Season 8. The season just wrapped up, and I really want to talk about what happens when mainstream desirability promotion gets quote unquote rigged in the Black woman's favor. And what happens when we are the main group benefiting from desirability promotion or desirable representation over other groups? And of course, we're going to be talking about Love Island USA season 8. But even if you didn't watch the season, I still think this will be a good listen because Love Island is just such a good sociology case study, sociological case study, however you want to put it. And I feel like it's a good lesson, a good promotional and social strategy lesson for women, and especially Black women. And there's a lot we can learn. Be clear, I'm not a fan. Somebody said I'm a fan of Love Island. I'm actually not. I'm not. And we're going to get to that later. We're going to start with the good stuff and then we're going to end with my criticism. So for those of you who don't know or you may know, um, the Love Island USA season 8 finale aired, I think it was Sunday. And an interracial couple by the name of Trinity and Bryce won this season. Um, yeah, we're happy that the girls won. It's no shade, but we have our criticism too. But Trinity and Bryce won. And a shout out to Trinity and Bryce. And Aniya and Carl won second place. And for those who don't know, these are the two finalists here. Of course, my computer's messing up as always. But yeah, Aniya and Carl won second place. Trinity and Bryce won first place. The other couples that were finalists were Sincere and Melanie and Kata and Zach. And a lot of people, I mean, I won't say a lot of people, but it is, I think, a critical mass of people are losing their minds because all of the finalists were interracial and mixed race couples. There were no Black men in the final four, no white women in the final four. All of the women are Black or mixed race. And to my understanding, this is the first time in Love Island history that 4 women of color and women of Black descent were in the final four. So congrats to, all the ladies. Now, again, I have to be honest, I do have conflicting feelings about Love Island. I have some criticism about the show, some things that I think should be discussed, but I will save that commentary for the end and I'll talk about what I like or what I liked about the finale and just this season overall. And that was, of course, the corrective promotion for dark skinned Black women. So we'll talk about that first, and then we'll get into the stuff I don't like. Let's start with Aniya and Carl. Now, this ended up being my favorite couple. These were the winners in my mind. Of course, I'm still a Trinity or Brinity fan, Trinity and Bryce. However, I preferred Carl and Aniya optics wise, for dark skinned Black women's promotion. And be clear, let me say this too. I see the game for what it is, right? Love Island is intentionally trying to capitalize off of the uptick of Black women swirling or our interest in swirling. The whole fairy tale thing, I got it, right? I get it. It's like the fairy tale prince, the knight in shining armor, this white man comes to save this black woman. It's kind of corny when you think about it, but it is cute. It's cute. Now, did I fall for the fairy tale? No, but I get what they were trying to do, right? Yeah, absolutely. Trying to create another Nicolandria. So I saw the game for what it was, y'all. And for those of you, I hope y'all not falling for the fairy tale. Enjoy the optics, just don't fall for the fairy tale, ladies. I tell y'all that all the time, right? So, um, we get it. We get it what y'all trying to do. It's cute. And I think it was great corrective promotion for dark-skinned black women. And I think that black women should take advantage of that, the optics that they're giving us. Even if you don't want to fall for the fairy tale, take advantage of it, enjoy the optics for what they are. And wait, did my mic go out? Somebody said my mic went out. And I've been having computer. Wait. Okay, my mic should be back now, y'all. But did it go out earlier? Yeah, I did accidentally just X out. But did it go out earlier or was that the first time? Let me know if that was the first or second time it went out. But anyway, I do like Aniya and Carl's date. I thought it was real cute, real romantic, very good optics. And I think Carl's a nice guy, regardless of if the relationship lasts or if it's super genuine, doesn't really matter. I think the optics are cute. So yeah, I said it was the first time going out. Okay, so it just went out once. Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, and so the optics were cute, and I also liked Family Day. I didn't get a chance to really talk about Family Day. I like the optics of Carl and Aniya's family too, together on Family Day. And it just reminded me of why I especially love their optics as a couple. There's just a certain level of class they project. I think I mentioned in another live stream where Carl was like, he asked Aniya, he said, well, if you didn't have to worry about money, what would you want to do in life or something along those lines? And I was like, that's my kind of question. So it's given hypergamy. And when you see them interacting and you hear their conversations and you get to see their families together, it does give a sense of generational wealth. It gives, we're building something that's going to be passed down or something great that's going to be passed down. Even if that isn't true, that is just what it gives optics wise, right? Not to mention they both have great genetics. They're both athletic. They come across as people who have access to certain privileges. Overall, they just project an upper class image. And I think that kind of representation is really good for unambiguous dark skinned black women, right? Um, and I did see people saying like, because I don't know if you guys remember on Family Day where yeah, the date was definitely giving Disney. Yeah, it was. But I don't know if you guys remember on Family Day, excuse me, when Carl was like, he was like, yeah, I think my mom's excited for us to have some athletic volleyball babies or something like that. And there were the pro-blacks who were like, oh, that's eugenics and that's not right and all this stuff. And listen, y'all can miss me with the eugenics argument because I've literally heard black people say the same thing about Noah and Janelle Lyles and their future children. Two black athletes, very chocolatey black athletes. And y'all were talking about how y'all can't wait for them to have athletic chocolate babies. So don't just suddenly become outraged when it's the athletic black woman and her non-black man talking about their future athletic babies. Like, stop with the fake outrage. Yeah. I just like the optics of them. I think they're really cute. And that's why I put so much emphasis on Black women playing the game strategically. Just think if Aniya would have made the strategic decision and chosen Carl over KC from the beginning, I think they would have won, or at least would have had a fan base similar to Trinity and Bryce, right? Their families very obviously appear to have the most money compared to the other islanders. And y'all know how much America loves watching and living vicariously through people who seem wealthy, right? and also for the pro blacks who are whining about classism and elitism, because I know that argument is coming. Notice how that argument is only made with Black women who pair up with non-Black men. Have y'all ever noticed that? Because anytime it's a power couple in the Black community, like, I don't know, Jay-Z and Beyonce, Barack and Michelle Obama. If I know Barack is mixed, but you know what I mean. Like, if it's a Black power couple, Black people don't care. But as soon as it's a Black woman with a non-Black man and it's a power couple, then it's a problem. So, I'm just noticing all of the hypocrisy. And, up until this point, Black men, they have been able to get away with promoting whatever race of women they want to promote with Black men. If it pushes their image forward, if they feel that pairing up with a certain non-Black woman is going to give them the best offspring or the best optics and representation in the media, they take it. They push that. So I don't care if Black women do the same thing. And it's like, the minute that Black women start playing the game like everybody else plays it, how Black men have been playing it all this time, now suddenly the community cares so much about classism and elitism and eugenics and colorism and all the things. It's like, no. Like, I'm not doing this with y'all. And now that it's Black women and even mixed women, because I think Black men are mad about that too. Just because we're doing it now, like, oh well, get over it. Yeah, now it's only unfair when we do it. Exactly. All these think pieces. And that's exactly why I don't care nothing about what they're saying, y'all. I don't care. Because up until now, Black men, they have taken advantage of whatever representation that they feel is going to push their image forward. And guess what? They didn't care nothing about how Black women felt about it. So listen, I 100% support Black women doing the same. And I wish when I saw Aniya and Carl on the finale, I was like, dang, I just wish Aniya would have played the game like it was supposed to be played from the beginning. Now, I'm not saying it was a complete missed opportunity, because they could definitely still capitalize off of it. Because, there's a lot of people who love their story. And, they're like, oh, I saw a post that Aniya made. It was her first post since leaving the villa. And, she was talking about how she was so thankful for all the support. And she said that she met somebody so special. And Love Island was in the comments and they were like, oh, the villa's princess. And so, like, it's this whole thing about the princess and the frog and, the prince and the princess. And I just think it's cute, and I just think that I wish that Aniya would have been thinking more strategically and picked Carl from the start. And I think they could have won. And again, I'm happy for Trinity, but I think they could have won. And, I will have to say, one thing I didn't like when it came to the family interaction, I didn't like when Aniya's mom said something about, or not Aniya's mom, Carl's mom. She said something about how she likes when Aniya takes care of all the girls in the villa. And it just kind of goes back to what I always say about how people of all races, they like to see Black women, and especially dark-skinned Black women, in the mammy role. That's really annoying to me. And, maybe maybe she liked that because she thought, oh, she would be a good mother. That's a possibility, so maybe I'm reaching and maybe I'm overthinking, but I tend to see things like that. I tend to, catch on to things like that. So, but other than that, I think the family got along great together and it really just gave classy. And I also like Aniya's mom and her image. I love when Aniya's mom was like, listen, girl, all that crying, you about to make me mad. And I felt that. Because it was like, girl, you doing a lot. And but I also agree with like the TikTok girlies who was like, I think Black parents need to be careful of that because a lot of Black parents do raise their Black girls, especially, to be too strong and independent, and it ends up dehumanizing them and it makes them overly masculine and uncomfortable expressing their emotions. Because I don't know if you heard Aniya's mom, where she was like, Aniya said something like, "Oh, well, I'm emotional," and Aniya's mom was like, "Since when?" And either that Aniya doesn't feel comfortable expressing her emotions in front of her mom, or it's that because Aniya was in that specific environment, she was overly emotional. She was more emotional than she usually is. And so yeah, and even I have to say, even I got irritated when Aniya was crying over KC, but that's not because she was expressing her emotions. It was because I just felt that he wasn't worth all of that, right? And I think that's maybe where her mom was coming from. But I also acknowledge that Love Island is a different environment. That's not a normal, natural environment. And, they're isolated from the outside world. They don't have access to people. So I can imagine how it can feel extremely isolating. And I'm also sure that that probably contributed to Aniya being emotional too. But when her mom said that, it's and the discourse that it created on TikTok and on online in general, it just made me think that we do need to hold space for Black women to be emotional, and even overly emotional sometimes, even if we feel it's for the wrong reasons and it's making us look bad, because I feel like it did, because her throwing herself on the floor and crying over that man, child, it was too much. It was too much for me. But yeah, I think just her being emotional in general, though, nothing was wrong with that. I'm emotional too. I'm an emotional woman. I'm a Cancer, so yeah, I'm emotional. Now, I'm usually not emotional over men like that, but I'm emotional about other things, that I care about. So I can relate. And thank you, Sarah, for the super chat. Hold on, y'all. Did I miss another super chat? Oh my God. Y'all, my computer, it's like my mic is getting stuck or something. Or not my mic, my mouse. Yeah, I do remember that now. Last season, Shelly did say she cried every day. She sure did. So I just think that environment just probably makes the people there more emotional than they normally are. So yeah, but I love her optics. Now, as far as the optics of Trinity and Bryce, I love their date too. I thought their date was really, really nice. I know the girls excuse me, the girls were mad because they felt like Aniya and Trinity got the best date. But I think it was because they were the top two. They were, first and second place, but they did have the best dates. And it was giving that they had a nice little budget for their dates compared to like Kata and Melanie and Sincere. But it is what it is. I just thought the dates were cute. I thought Trinity's date was really cute. I like the little heart that was on fire. I couldn't find a picture of it before the live, but I just thought that was so cute. And like I said in previous videos, I honestly think these two developed a connection not because they were each other's preference, but because they didn't have a lot of options in the villa. And it definitely feels to me like, they're more friends and maybe they are lovers now, but it was a friends to lovers situation and I feel like they stayed in their connection to win the show. And it worked. It worked. So I'm honestly not mad at them for playing the game how it should have been played. You know, now is Trinity and Bryce, is their relationship one that I would say black women should aspire to? No. But in terms of them playing the Love Island game strategically and the way it was supposed to be played, they did that. And I can't be mad at that. And as far as their family day, I did like the optics of their family day too. And I thought their family was hilarious together. I really like Bryce's grandma. She was so funny. And I think that, again, even if this is not real, I like the optics of this because it sends the message, and particularly with Trinity and Bryce's family, it sent the message that it is possible for Black women to get along with non Black men in their families. Because a lot of pro Blacks will try to fearmonger Black women who swirl or Black women who are interested in swirling. And they'll try to make you think that, oh, you're never going to get along with his family. If you date out, nobody's going to ever like you. And they try to make you think that in order to be accepted by a man's family, that man has to be Black. But that's not always true, right? And you could also have issues with a man's family if he's Black. You can have issues with his mama or the other women in his family or, anybody in his family. So again, I'm not saying this couple is 100% genuine, but I'm just pointing out how the optics work in our favor as Black women and could possibly open your mind to new experiences, right? That's the point here. And that to me is why the optics are good. Yeah, Bryce is definitely a bum. For sure. Yeah, and yeah, the grandma was cause she was off the chain. And I thought it was so funny how she was like, "Why y'all didn't get a date in the hideaway?" I was like, "Granny, that's a mess. That's crazy." Oh, and also when you think about the fact that Trinity and Bryce, they won without a lot of, pro Black community support, right? So it also shows that you do have allies as a Black woman outside of Black people. And you should take advantage of that. Stop limiting yourselves. Of course, racism will always be a thing, right? But don't feed into the pro-Black fear mongering that says that every single non-Black person or non-Black man is out to get you, because it's not true. And I also like when Trinity's mom, she said something along the lines of, love doesn't come in the package you think it will. Something she said like that. And again, you don't have to think this connection is real, but I think that was, whether or not it's real, that statement was real, right? So I like that she said that, and I think that Black women needed to hear that. So that is one thing that I liked about their connection or their optics. Strawberry says Bryce isn't a bum. He literally has multiple jobs. What does he do for a living? What are his multiple jobs? Okay, well, I stand corrected if he's not a bum. He does give bummy, though, a little bit. That's all I'm saying. He does give that, even if he's not. But what does he do for a living? I'm curious. Because I don't know. But it does. I was just going by what y'all said in the live streams. Y'all said he's a DJ and a model. Okay. Is he a working model? Does anybody know the net worth? Okay, model, DJ. Okay, he owns a trucking company. Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay, so okay, maybe he's not a bum. Y'all said he has a house in LA. Okay, Themis is saying he okay. Themis says if Bryce DJ and modeling career was doing well, why would he complain about having to fix a garbage truck for money? Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. So, it sounds like, okay, I'm not saying he's lazy. So maybe bum is the wrong word, but I think it's safe to say that he's not high earning. That's really not what it's given. Yeah, and so, but either way, this is just about optics. We're gonna get into the men in a minute, right? So, but I like the optics. Now, with that said, even though I think the representation and the optics here are good for Black women, and I think it's something that uh we can learn lessons from and take advantage of and all that stuff. um I I'm actually not falling for the fairy tale, and I have to reiterate that. I think it's important to reiterate that, just so other Black women can hear it. Because I want to caution you about falling for the fairy tale. As I've stated in my other videos about this season, and I think I even said this last season too, I am not the biggest fan of any of the men this season, to be honest. They all have done things that I don't care for on the show. And I've talked about that in other live streams. And look, y'all always tell me I'm too, like, I don't know. It depends on the people watching, right? Because one group of people will be like, oh, Chrissy worships white men, or she worships non-Black men, and she holds Black men to a higher standard. And then another group was like, oh, you're just overly critical and nothing is ever good enough. And one girl was like, oh, don't start nitpicking interracial relationships. I'm like, girl, I've been doing that. And then another girl was like, oh, you nitpick the men too much and you're just never happy. I'm like, listen, I run a very strict program when it comes to men, okay? I have high standards in men. So I will discard and disqualify men for what other women may see as minor offenses, okay? And that's why I'm not married. That's why I'm single, girl. I don't be like, listen, you can go, nigga. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I don't feel bad about that because Black women especially need to have high romantic standards. Okay. So yeah, I do run a tight ship. It is what it is. So when I look at these couples, I am not romanticizing their relationships. I'm not expecting a fairy tale ending. I am fully prepared for any of them to fuck up. Fully prepared. Now, I will say Carl is on his best behavior right now. He made a post about Aniya and he was like, what did he say in the post? It said something like, let's be real, the walls were never up or something like that. And everybody's all in the comments like, oh, so cute. And he's a prince. And it's cute, y'all. But listen, he better not fuck up though. Because he gonna get dragged. I'm gonna drag him if he fucks up. So I hope he stays on his best behavior. That's all I'm saying. I just hope he does. And I'm saying all that to say, none of these men deserve a pedestal. I'm primarily here for the Black men or for the Black women, okay? And the optics, right? The optics and the representation of Black women, not the men. That's what I'm here for. And when I say the women, I'm talking about primarily unambiguous dark-skinned Black women. This is not about the men over here. Thema says exactly. I like Carl, and he almost got dragged for the Kata comment. Then I realized he was pushing back against Dylan. Oh, is that what happened? Because I filed my complaint against that too. I was like, Is Kata his real type, or is Aniya his real type, or Kata? And then I don't know if y'all saw that white girl who came out, and I guess it's Carl's ex-girlfriend. So it's like, has he ever been with a black woman? I have some questions. I like Carl, but I do have questions. And she was like a basic looking white girl. Y'all know how them Asians are. Y'all know how they are. A lot of them are very whitewashed. And so I just don't know. Again, the optics are cute, but I need to see more, and I feel like that's fair. I need to see more from the men. So, okay, he's been with a black woman. That's a plus. Okay, that's good. Okay, good. That's good. That's good. Now, what she look like? Y'all know how I am. Y'all know what she look like. Is she dark skinned? Is she unambiguous? Or is she a quote unquote mixed black woman? All that matters to me. Okay. And so I'm saying all that to say, I need to see more. And I feel like if any black woman has an issue with what I'm saying about these men, you probably need to raise your standards, because this is like base level stuff. It's base level stuff. Okay. So yeah, just need to see more. Now, let's discuss the narrative that Love Island has an interracial dating agenda. Now, again, I do think that production definitely wanted to create another Nicolandria. No doubts about it. We understand that. But the difference between me and these other people who are complaining about it, because I see a lot of people on TikTok, particularly the pro-black people, they're like, oh, this is an agenda against the black family. I don't care. I don't care. If the show was rigged, I don't care. And I say that because for years, reality TV shows, dating shows, award ceremonies, even all this mainstream media programming, it consistently rewards people, right? Not solely based off of merit, right? But because they're white, because they're male, because they're rich, or a celebrity, because they're a child of a celebrity, because they light skin. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And typically, these mainstream shows, they're rigged in ways that do not benefit black women at all, and especially unambiguous dark-skinned women. And if they aren't rigged, they're rarely ever produced in a way that benefits us in our image. We're typically the least desired, or we're the villain, the angry black woman, the sidekick, the mammy, the Jezebel. And we're placed in those tropes all the time, and nobody cares. Taylor, thank you for the super chat. You can send me a TikTok video at askchrissy@gmail.com. And thank you for the super chat. Yeah, and so nobody typically cares when we are misrepresented. And then, especially when it comes to like these dating shows, they are usually terrible with black women, right? And they have these black male contestants on them. They're constantly paired up with light, bright, and white women. Usually, never a dark skinned woman in sight, or she's at the bottom. And black men don't say a word about it. And then if black women say anything, we're told it's just a preference, right? And also, if we say anything about being undermined or erased in the media in general, we're always gaslit by everyone, especially if they have more privilege. White people, black men, white women, light-skinned women, and we're just pretty much told to get over it. But whenever the shoe is on the other foot and it's black women in our image in the top position and other groups are at the bottom, suddenly they're making the same exact complaints that they told us that we shouldn't have. And that's exactly what's happening here. Because there were no black men in the Final Four, let's put up a picture of the Final Four. Because there were no black men here, and they were the least desired on the show this season. And also because they feel that KC got an edit that wasn't desirable or favorable to the black man's image, all of a sudden we're hearing heterosexual dark-skinned black men complain about colorism. We're hearing them complain about being overlooked. All of a sudden, we're hearing black men complain that the racially ambiguous men on the show are more desired and being treated better. We're hearing complaints about the dark-skinned black women on the show being colorist and choosing non-black men and mixed race men over the dark-skinned black men on the show. We're hearing them literally complain about some of the exact same things that they have consistently told dark-skinned black women that we should not care about, and that we're bitter, jealous, and insecure, and divisive and hateful for even mentioning it. So, no, I don't care now that it's you. I don't care. And I even saw Kenzie, she was saying that she got the villain edit. And I'm like, not the white woman saying she got the villain edit. And then again, when she, a light-skinned woman, she didn't get attention when she came in the villa. She was salty that none of the men pursued her. She came out talking shit. So both of those women, a white woman and a light-skinned woman, they wanted to be desired. They wanted outside validation. But whenever black women have said they wanted to be chosen or needed validation or wanted validation, or when we point out how we are portrayed in the media juxtaposed to non-black women or light-skinned women or mixed race women, we're always told, we have been told that it's no big deal and we shouldn't care about it. And I continue to point out those parallels to remind black women that you're not tripping when you care about representation in the media. You're not overreacting when you call out racism or colorism in the media. You're not wrong for wanting to feel desired or validated by other people. And I just feel like what Love Island really shows us is that humans want the same thing. Humans want they have the same needs and desires, no matter the race, no matter the gender, and no matter the color. And so what I'm here to remind black women specifically is that when other groups of people are not getting the outside validation or the pedestal that they feel they deserve, you do not owe them the empathy that they would not give you in return if it was you in their position. And this includes white people, this includes black men, this includes light-skinned women. It applies to who it applies to. And so when shows like Love Island are supposedly being rigged in your favor and not the black man's favor, you don't owe the black man empathy. You don't owe them the empathy that they never gave you when it was your image that was being undermined or sacrificed to make them niggas look good. You don't owe them that. You don't owe them that. And listen, this is not a get back. This is not a tit for tat. This is called self-preservation. That's what this is called. This is called refusal to pour into people and protect them when it's not reciprocated, even if those people are your male counterparts. And this whole season of Love Island, I have just been sick of people trying to force black women, and especially dark-skinned black women, to cape for dark-skinned black men or choose them when they have told us repeatedly that they don't owe us desirability and they don't owe us protection. We don't owe them anything. If they don't owe it to us, we don't owe it to them. And so I'm here to remind black women that you should play the game like everyone else. When non-black people and black men, when they see any kind of TV show or mainstream representation that is rigged in their favor or shows them in a good light while undermining your image, they don't complain on your behalf. Okay? They just let that shit be what it is. They don't complain about nothing being rigged online. They don't threaten to boycott it. They don't do none of that for you. They just accept the benefits that come with their image being promoted in a desirable light. They don't care nothing about it being rigged. White women have never cared about that shit. Nobody ever cares about that shit until it's you. And so that tells you a lot. Oh, I'm keeping this live up. Yeah, they don't give a shit, y'all, especially when it comes to their diverse romantic representation with other races of people. Nobody cares about that when it's in their favor. Why? Because they know that it can potentially add to their perceived desirability and attractiveness. They like being promoted with as many races as possible, especially black men. They love that. So like, why should you complain when it's you? Like, I don't get black. Like, I keep saying that black women are the most non-strategic group of women on the planet, and it's sad. It is so sad to me. Now, again, I think it's okay to critique the interracial representation if it needs improvement. I think it's okay to like criticize it. I don't care about that. I do that shit all the time. But what I'm saying is, it makes no sense for you, black women, to protest your interracial dating promotion for the sake of black love or for the sake of protecting black men. They don't do that for you. They don't protest their romantic interracial promotion with non-black women to lift you up or to promote black love or put black love in the pedestal. They don't do that. Exactly, Themis. Says black women complaining about the show being rigged for black women is insane. I just don't get it. I I really don't. And I mean, maybe they don't realize that it does add to your desirability. I think they don't realize that. Mm-hmm. CeraVe says the queens of self-sabotage. Yes, very much so. It's just really sad. Now, something else I wanted to address was how everybody was like, because another thing I keep seeing is like, oh, it's fake. And we kind of saw this last season too with Nicolandria, but it's really bad this season. You know, everybody's talking about how fake the show is and how all the couples were just there to win the money. And I noticed that this accusation is mostly being directed towards Trinity and Aniya, even though this is a dating show, y'all. This is a dating show. Everybody is going to go on Love Island to win the final prize, right? Everybody goes on there to get exposure and become famous. And again, I just think people, because these black women are in connections with white men, and because no black men made it to the final four, they're hyper focusing on them, right? And again, I agree that most of the couples this season were there just to play the game and primarily there to win the money. And again, I don't care. It's a dating show. Now, obviously, you know, everybody wants to pick the most convincing couple, and some couples are going to be more genuine than others. And of course, you want the most convincing one. But anybody who truly believes that these young people are going on Love Island strictly for love, girl, look, call me up. I got a bridge I want to sell you in Brooklyn. Okay? Because come on now, y'all can't be that slow. And a lot of people were like, I saw on TikTok people were like exposing Bryce and Trinity, I guess because they were actors. Like they were I don't know what movies they were in. I guess it was some low budget movies that they were in before going on Love Island. And I didn't know that. I was like, oh, okay. And oh, it's lagging. Hold on. How long have I been lagging? I don't have call-in set up anymore. But thanks for the super chat. I might start doing that in the future again. I don't know. Some people are saying it's fine. How many people am I lagging for? How many people's audio's been messed up? No lagging for me. Hopefully it's not for everybody. But yeah, and so Trinity, I guess Trinity and Bryce were actors, but somebody had also sent me some screenshots of Titi, and apparently Titi she's like a low budget video vixen. I don't know if she's low budget. Let me not say that, but it looked kind of low budget on my end. I don't know. But apparently Titi, she's been in several music videos before going on Love Island. She was a whole video vixen, y'all. I didn't know that. I know in one of the live streams I did about this, y'all were saying that she was on some other dating shows, but she's a whole video vixen, y'all. She's out here in the rappers' videos, and I was like, oh, okay, so she doing that. And so, like, come on, y'all. These are all people who are trying to get famous. They're all people who are trying to get more exposure for their brands. And then I also saw a clip of Parmita telling Corbin that she has dated athletes and rappers in the past. So listen, y'all, there's a lot of actors and opportunists on this season. It was not just Trinity and Bryce. Whoever thinks the people that go on Love Island are only there for love and they're not there for fame and notoriety, you are delusional. And I noticed I didn't hear KC fans, all the KC fans who was saying, oh, Trinity and Bryce are fake. They're not real. I didn't see y'all bring this up. I didn't see y'all bring up Titi being a video vixen. Why didn't I hear y'all talk about this? I had to find this out from my followers. But yeah, and so it's obvious to me that those who are attempting to make their favorites on the show, like Casey and Titi, more authentic than they are, you're just doing that because you like them. Oh, Casey is getting dragged? I didn't know that. Yes, this is another video she was in. Lil Keed. I don't even know who Lil Keed is. That's why I said it's giving low budget, girl. It's giving low budget. Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't really see anybody talking about Casey like that. I didn't know he was getting dragged. Yeah, listen, nothing is wrong. Get your money, girl. But my point in bringing this up is that, nobody is on here. Nobody was on that show just for love. And personally, when it comes to KC and TT, they even said, who is this man? I don't know who Lil Keed is. I have no clue. See what other, yeah, y'all sent me all these pictures. This looks like a higher budget video. It says Titi from Love Island season 8 was in Carol G's music video for her song Watiti. I don't know what that song is. I think I've heard of Carol G though. So, Titi, it looks like she was really out there in the media, right? Again, nothing wrong with it. Get your money, but clearly she's on the show for exposure. And this is why I told y'all, like, personally, I don't think KC and TT's connection was any more genuine than anyone else's. I really don't. And something else? It's real funny how KC's fan base picked up on everybody else being fake and everybody's connection was manipulated by production. But his girlfriend proposal to TT, why wasn't that manipulated by production? Why do they believe that's real? Did y'all ever think about that? Because according to KC fans, production rigged and they manufactured everything else except for the girlfriend proposal. Except for that. Everything on the show was rigged but that proposal. Come on now, y'all. No, that shit was fake too. Production set that up too. They told Casey to go ahead and propose, do a girlfriend proposal to her because they saw y'all complaining online about him getting the villain edit. That's what that was about. So they threw his fans a bone And now his fans are trying to push the narrative that everything on this season of Love Island was fake, except for the black love. Come on, y'all. Do you not see the game they're trying to play on y'all at this point? It's just so obvious to me. It's just so obvious. Y'all said that Casey is abusive. Are y'all talking about something in his past? Right. Alex says, imagine if Aniya was in a rap video in soap water. Oh, yeah. It would have been, they would have went off on her. You already know. Yeah, I think the whole season was extremely produced too, Selena. I agree with that. Oh, y'all said his ex-girlfriend exposed them? Why y'all didn't send me that? So the ex-girlfriend exposed KC for being abusive? Is that what y'all saying? Sydney says everything rigged but black love. Happy birthday, Chrissy. Thank you. Exactly. Everything rigged but black love. Exactly. Thank you so much. Empress says production was so messy. Loved it. and you could tell they were really trying to appease everybody. Like, y'all don't think that was weird? As soon as y'all start complaining about KC and talking about how he got the villain edit and how production is trying to suppress black love, then all of a sudden you come with a girlfriend proposal and they get this whole scene where it's their own little cute little date. Like, I was like, girl, I see what you're doing, production. I see it. They saw how y'all was online talking about, the buck breaking of the black man, and he's a victim of colorism, and y'all trying to sabotage black love. They saw y'all talking all that whining and crying online, and so they gave y'all the little girlfriend proposal date. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. And see, I hate that they did that, because a lot of black women unfortunately ate it up. Y'all thought it was real. And see, this is how a lot of them hoteps like KC, I think KC is like either a hotep or hotep adjacent. I don't really know which one he is, but that's how these hotep, I love a black queen ass niggas, that's how they manipulate y'all, right? That's how they trick y'all into them faux black love scams. This is exactly how they do it. Or they use all these slavery terms like buck breaking, or the black man's mental health, and we need to take care of our black boys. They do all that to pull on your heartstrings, black women. They do all that to try to make black men the ultimate victim so that you'll feel sorry for them. And it works. It works. That's what a lot of these hotep niggas do. Yeah, y'all send me the information about KC if it's true. I don't want to just blame him for something if it's not true. Yeah, send me the information with his girlfriend talking about how he was abusive. Diana says that's why After Sun coddled KC/Titi because of the backlash. I agree. I noticed that too. Yeah, he did try to bring up that on the After Sun. He was like, yes, because I'm a black man. And he sure did. J. Ray says, did y'all catch during the girlfriend proposal, KC said, I feel she's worthy of being my girlfriend. He did say that. And his mammy supporters swear up and down he's not red pill. Yeah, you can hear it. You can hear it in the way that he talks. Yep. And I guarantee y'all don't be surprised if he start going on these podcasts talking shit. And I want to see what his fans have to say after that. Because you know that's coming, right? You know it's coming. But all y'all Casey, like, I don't understand how black women really think that this is the hill to die on. Casey, he's just like the other men in that villa. He was playing the game. That's why he pandered to Aniya. He didn't pursue his real type, which was Soul, because he didn't want to look like a colorist. And he chose the safest choice that would appease the black woman audience, which is Titi. He knew that y'all would eat this right up, and that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what the gullible black woman fans are doing. That's why y'all are defending him. But Casey is just as fake and phony as every man in that villa. And I just think because black women have been like conditioned to give the black man the benefit of the doubt no matter what, just because he's black, a lot of y'all believe him more than you do the other men on the show. But listen, any smart black woman, and really woman in general, no matter the race, we saw right through him. And that's why he didn't make it to the final four, y'all. That's why his ass didn't make it, despite that little fake ass girlfriend proposal. That's just what it is. It's not because he's dark skinned. It's not because he's black. He just wasn't as liked as the other couples. That's just what it is. He also didn't want to compete with Sincere. Yes. And let's talk about Sincere for a minute, because his family been talking shit too. Sincere, listen, I don't think Sincere and Melanie should have made it to the final four. Let me be clear about that, because their connection is the most toxic. But I don't think KC and TT deserve to be there either. I would have rather seen Corbin and Parmita in the final four over Sincere and Melanie, because at the very least, Corbin didn't lie about who he was attracted to like KC did. KC already showed himself to be a panderer who fakes his attraction to dark-skinned black women while having a true preference for women who look like Soul. Because if you remember, he did tell Sincere, I think it was, that his ex-girlfriend looked like Soul. And don't tell me that doesn't matter, because it mattered that Carl's ex is white. It mattered when Carl said that Kata was stunning. So it matters what Casey's ex looks like too. But, you know, after the pandering, I think a lot of black women just couldn't trust Casey's connection with Titi, you know, and they just didn't like his behavior with Aniya. And then also real quick too, I don't know if y'all peeped this. I can't remember which episode this was, but I think it was right after Family Day. And KC and Titi were about to go to bed. And Titi asked him, she was like, "Do you still like me?" Or something like that. And I was like, "Did you?" And she seemed unsure. She was like, "Do you still like me?" And he was like, "Oh, I like you more and more every day," or something like that. And she sounded real unsure. So it's like, how do we go from "Do you still like me" to "Will you be my girlfriend"? Like, come on now, y'all. Like, if we can see the ways that production has manipulated other connections on the show, we have to be honest about the KC situation too. At the end of the day, Peacock, they trying to clean up their mess when they get called racist. That's what it is. So that's why they gave y'all that girlfriend proposal. It was very strategic what they did. But, you know, again, I mean, I don't think the KC fans understand that when the audience has a say in who stays and who goes, it's not only about the Islanders finding love at that point. They also have to be likable. They have to be convincing to the audience. And KC and TT, they just weren't as likable or convincing as the other couples. And that was due to their own behavior. And y'all will say it's due to editing, but again, production tried to help them. They tried to help them. They actually did y'all a favor. But it wasn't enough because they just didn't like them as much. And listen, the same goes for Kenzie and Dylan, and they're white. They got voted off too, right along with Casey and TT, and they're white. They're a white couple. So the audience didn't really fuck with them like that either. So no, it's not just because Casey was, people are just so against the black man and trying to hold the black man down. That's not the only. It's not just because Casey is dark skinned. They just didn't like him as much. Thema says, I love that the Hotep talking doesn't work outside of the community, and they were voted off. Yep. Yeah, my mouse is kind of sticking a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, as far as Melanie and Sincere, let's get back to them. I don't know. I still think that the people who voted for them are a bunch of birds who are in toxic relationships with men like Sincere, or just, I guess, I don't know, maybe a lot of them like Melanie too, because a lot of women watch the show. So maybe it was just a lot of her fans, that voted. But again, when we talk about like people being fake, right? Sincere is another one that was saying whatever he needed to say just to win. And honestly, I think Melanie was going along to win too. I think she was just going along with it to win. And I mean, what do y'all think? I question how much of their antics were real. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, part of me thinks they did all that just to stay on the show. I don't know. We'll have to see how real they are as time goes on. And then when Sincere was like, oh, I want you to be the mother of my children, I want you to be my wife, all of that sounded like bullshit. It just sounded fake to me. And then when he told Melanie she was resilient, oh my God, that was so cringy. Ladies, if a man ever tells you that you're quote unquote resilient after he's lied to you a million times and after he's fucked you over a million times, you need to run. And you need to run fast, because resilience is pretty much a code word for I like you because you put up with my shit and you ain't going nowhere. And I know you ain't gonna leave. That's what that means. So if a man says that to you, that's a red flag and you need to run. They're never going to change. They're never going to stop lying, and they'll never do right by you. And so on Family Day, I was really happy to see Melanie's mom and her sister try to talk some sense into her. But again, I just wonder how much she was just staying just to, be on the show. Oh, Thema said a resilient queen. Child, I can't. The ghetto. Be ghetto. Absolutely not. Now, as far as Sincere's family hating on Aniya and Trinity, apparently the cousin said that Aniya looks like Shrek, or he said that their relationship reminded him of Shrek or something. And this is him right here. Where do these men find the audacity? Where do they find the audacity? And he tried to come back and clean it up. He's like, I didn't say she looked like Shrek. But you compared her to Shrek. You look more like Shrek than Aniya, sir. What is going on here? These men have way too much audacity for me. I don't understand it. And again, the reason why Sincere's family was hating, because they're just like everybody else who's hating. They're mad that two unambiguous dark-skinned women made first and second place. They don't think that Aniya and Trinity deserve to be there. And then this one says, Sincere's family says you can tell they ghetto as hell after watching Trinity's sister's video. So they don't call them ghetto. Meanwhile, y'all, I didn't add the live in here because I just, don't want to play it. But it's like they're sitting on their all of them are older people. They all look tacky as fuck sitting around watching this show. I'm like, y'all don't realize how ghetto y'all come across right now? It's here. It says Sincere's family says Aniya in second place is disgusting. And you would think that after your son has literally been being dragged on the internet and looking the way he does on national TV, you would think that they would shut up. But I guess they're just not smart enough to think that way. And then here's his uncle. It says Sincere's uncle says he should have tapped it in regards to Melanie and Sincere in the hideaway. But y'all calling somebody ghetto? Like, come on. Come on. This is ridiculous. And I just think they're mad that two Black women made the first and second place. That's what they're mad about. I feel like they think that the Latino couple is more deserving because they're not Black. And so, looking at the family and how they're conducting themselves online, you kind of can see where Sincere gets it from at this point. You can kind of see why Sincere's character is the way it is. And see, honestly, this is why I never felt comfortable with Aniya, running behind both Melanie and Sincere and basically being their personal mammy. I never felt comfortable with that. Themis says, I saw Sincere's biological dad. It all made sense. On the well, no, that wasn't his dad on Family Day, right? That was his stepfather or something. Yeah, the whole Hibiscus tea says not a single brain cell in the whole family tree. Exactly. Yeah, but I never felt comfortable with he and Aniya's relationship. Like most dark skinned women who go on these reality shows, especially the dating shows, they get relegated to the mother role. If y'all remember, Shelly and Alandria talked about that last season. They were like the mammies in the villa, like the two women that everybody could come to get advice from, and so that's another reason I don't like these shows, because and it's not to say that I think it's wrong for Black women to help people, but usually when they're on these shows and they get relegated to the mother role, it's like they get mammified. And they're often used to fix everyone else emotionally while neglecting themselves or while being neglected. And the nurturing they give other people is rarely ever reciprocated because, the family knows that Aniya is cool with Sincere. You would think they would have enough respect. Aniya on there talking about Team Sincere. Trinity on there talking about Team Sincere, and we are rooting for you guys, and y'all don't have enough respect for them not to say the things that you're saying online. And so again, it never pays to be a mammy. It never pays to be a mammy. You don't get anything out of that. Aniya and Trinity did all that caping for Sincere, all for his family to publicly disrespect him. That lets you know you don't get anything from mammying. And I saw a nigga on TikTok. Of course, he was a Black male, and he was like, "Oh, well, this is what Aniya gets for being colorist, and this is what she gets for liking racially ambiguous men." And see, they're colorists. See, and nice try, Black men on TikTok, but that argument is stupid because this type of shit happens with Black women who prefer dark-skinned Black men as well. And actually, if you want to keep it a buck, Black men talk more shit about dark-skinned Black women than Latino men, if you want to keep it a buck. So yeah, nice try, but that Aniya's romantic preferences has nothing to do with this. Her romantic preferences, for racially ambiguous men, if that even is her preference, which I don't know if it is. But that has nothing to do with this. And let's not forget, when Aniya had the chance to actually be colorist and choose a Asian man, who did she choose? She chose a dark-skinned black man instead. So Aniya being colorist is not the problem. It's her not choosing herself. It's her not choosing herself in both romantic and platonic relationships. Whether it be men or with friends, whether it be romantic or platonic, Aniya has a problem choosing herself. So I don't know about Melanie, but I would feel better if Aniya just stops dealing with both of them, But Aniya's young, so like I keep saying, I'm gonna give Aniya grace. I'm gonna give her time to learn her lessons. But I just hope she's paying attention to how these people move, how their families move, and how the people who are closest to them move. Because that's very important. And it kind of puts me in the mind. You remember when last season after Olandria got out the villa, remember how she was, at first she was real buddy with Huda. And then she learned very quickly after leaving the villa that Huda really didn't have her back like that. And so she had to cut her off. And I remember saying in a live stream, I said, I hope Ola cuts off Huda because Huda is not her friend. So it's kind of giving me those same type of vibes a little bit. Yeah, I agree. Hannah says Aniya needs to be for herself and not follow Melanie and Kata. 100% agree. Yeah, this live is going to stay up. I'm not going to take it down. And another thing is when it comes to sincere, another thing I really didn't like was how the audience was kind of like blaming Aniya for Melanie's decision to stay with Sincere. I don't really like how that was. I know that they were friends in the villa, but everybody was like rooting for Sincere and Melanie. It wasn't just Aniya. It wasn't just Trinity. I don't know if y'all watched the After Sun with Casey and Titi, but I forget the girl's name on the After Sun. But when she asked Casey and Titi who they wanted to win the show, both of them said Melanie and Sincere. So it wasn't just Aniya and Trinity who were rooting for them. It was everybody in that villa. And I feel like because, y'all don't like Aniya, a lot of y'all who watch the show, or you don't like that her and Trinity, I guess, didn't choose black men, you're like they're getting all the heat for what Sincere and Melanie choose to do. I don't like that. At the end of the day, Melanie's a grown-ass woman, okay? She's a grown-ass woman, and at some point, everybody is just gonna have to, let her learn her lessons on her own. That's just what it is. Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Thema says, I think because Aniya was closer to Mel. I get it, but it's like, I feel like people online, especially on TikTok, were dragging it. So, yeah. Now, who else we got on here? Kata and Zach. And I saw like right before this live stream that Kata deactivated her Instagram or something. Why did she do that? Like, I was confused. And somebody was saying something about, I think I saw too where it was Trinity. It was either Trinity. I think it was Trinity who was posting to her followers, basically telling them to leave Zach alone. So is Zach getting a lot of attacking and bullying? I didn't know that if that was happening. Like, what happened with that? I didn't know Zach was getting a lot of hate. Is he getting a lot of hate? Yeah, I really haven't been keeping up with like Zach or Selena says nobody likes him. Oh, is that why Kata deactivated her Instagram? Yeah, I think maybe they thought that they were like the favorites, and maybe when they left the villa, they realized that no, dang, that had to be kind of a shock to them. Wow, I didn't know that. Themis said they've been dragging the mess. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's like they were so delusional to think that they were like. I guess they maybe thought that they were one of the top couples or something. I don't know. But when it comes to Zach and Kata, everybody saw that Zach, he didn't want to commit to Kata the way she wanted to commit to him. And I got the vibe that deep down, Kata wanted the girlfriend title. And I like I said before, Kata gave it up too quick. She gave him the cookies too quick. That's really what happened. And so she got overly invested. And I feel like Zach wasn't being honest about not wanting to fully commit. And I don't know, I guess that's why they dragging Zach, but I think that a lot of the audience picked up on, at least I picked up on this. Like, I think that Zach is more concerned with trying to get famous than being in a relationship, right? And I think that Kata likes him, but she was also playing the game to win. And I think that, they were surprised that they weren't the favorite couple. Wow. So damn. 2023 No Thanks says maybe or many of them in the villa felt Kata and Zach were the strongest couple. Why? Again, I guess because they can't see what we see, but wow. Yeah, that really probably threw them off when they got out the villa. That's probably why Kata deactivated her Instagram. She had to gather herself, but she thought she was gonna come out and be the celebrity. Probably, she thought she was gonna come out and be the star. And I think Kata will still do good. I do think she'll do well, but she needs to let Zach go. That's really what it is. Yeah, and I think pretty much because I was just looking at the men and how many followers everybody had, and it seems like the men all have less followers than the women. I think Corbin had a lot of followers. Of all people, Corbin had a lot of followers, but the other guys really didn't. I don't remember what Carl, like how many followers he had, or Bryce. But I know compared to the women, the men didn't have a lot of followers. Oh, Christina said Carl is coming up to 1 million. Okay. Yeah, you have to be likable and you have to be convincing, you have to be likable. And that's what some of these people don't understand. But yeah, I definitely think Kata and Zach were playing to win. They thought they were America's favorites or that they would be. Got a rude awakening. But they're fake. They're fake. They were being fake just like everybody else. Same with Kenzie and Dylan. I don't buy their relationship at all. And I think that whole crying bit that Dylan did, I think was fake. Kenzie is fake too. And what I don't like about Kenzie is like 1 minute Kenzie was there to play the game and explore and she's there for herself. And then the next, she in the girl's faces crying, talking about we're sisters and I love you and you're my best friend and I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or be shady. It's like, girl, it's like I think I just would have respected Kenzie more if she stood on business and just, admitted that she was selfish this entire time. But again, she can't say that and then stay on the show, right? She couldn't really do that. But, I think it's also worth mentioning that Kenzie is a former competitive dancer. She's a performer. So again, this is another one who was on the show to get exposure like everyone else. She was not there for love. And I think, what's that girl, Call Her Daddy, that show? She's already has been on there. She's gonna be on all kind of shows after this. A lot of the white girls, they're gonna rally behind Kenzie. So, all in all, you guys, nobody was 100% genuine on Love Island USA season 8. And all I'm saying is, if you're gonna talk about the show being fake and the couples being fake, call out everybody. Don't just single out the Black women. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, she's the first to do a sit-down interview. Yep. What else do we have on here? This is another thing I wanted to talk about. Something I've noticed is that, watching the commentary, and particularly like the KC fans, the Black woman KC fans, I'm seeing them using Zach and Bryce flirting against Trinity and making fun of him for being possibly gay or bisexual. And like I said before, Bryce and Zach's flirting in their homoerotic relationship, that would personally be a turnoff to me. But a lot of the younger women are okay with dating sexually fluid men. So whatever, that's their prerogative. But what I find interesting about the Black women who keep bringing up Bryce and Zach and their sexuality is that many of those women are very liberal. And they also support KC being best friends with a trans woman. And that's another thing y'all brought to my attention. I didn't know that either. I didn't know that KC was best friends. It's like, it looks what appears to be an Asian trans woman, which nothing is wrong with. But I do wonder if the Black community would be saying, or would be ignoring that. Because I don't know about y'all. I haven't heard any of the red pillars talk about that. I mean, I haven't heard any of the red pillars talk about KC being best friends with a trans woman, but they're talking about Bryce and Zach being gay. And I just wondered that if Carl or Bryce or Zach, I wonder if they were best friends with a trans woman, would they accept it? Would KC's fans accept that? Or would they question their sexuality? Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah, maybe the red pillars don't know about it. I don't know. But that's something I found interesting. And then also, some of the same women calling Bryce and Zach gay, they will get mad at other Black women for not wanting to date a gay Black man, or a bisexual Black man, or a Black man who fucks with trans women, a trans amorous Black man. But now y'all making fun of Trinity and Kada for dealing with two seemingly bisexual men? And again, I called this out too about Bryce and Zach. So I get it. But the difference between me and these other Black women is that I'm consistent with all races of men. I don't only talk about Black women dating white bisexual men and then skip over the Black women who are with or willing to date bisexual Black men. But I just find it real interesting that a lot of these liberal Black women, y'all will tiptoe around gay Black men. You don't want to say anything homophobic. You don't want to say anything transphobic. You will come to my channel and call me a TERF and say that I'm biphobic and I'm homophobic and all this stuff when I criticize Black men who are gay, or when I criticize trans women. But then y'all are making fun of Trinity, and Kada for being with gay men or with bisexual men. That's just something I found really, really interesting. But see, the pick-me's and the mammies, the KC defenders, they know they can't do what they're doing with Zach and Bryce with bisexual Black men, because they'll get canceled if they do that. Because a lot of them have a large LGBT following. See, nobody's going to bother them if they make fun of Black women who date bisexual white men. So that is something I found interesting in this conversation. Y'all real hostile with these homoerotic white men, but when it comes to the DL men in the Black community, y'all get real scary. Y'all get real quiet. So I found that to be interesting that all of a sudden it's okay to be homophobic towards white men. That's real interesting to me. And then something else I also noticed, specifically from, the KC defenders, because, I'm going to call them out. I'm going to call out all they little hypocrisies because I see y'all. But I noticed that because I heard somebody was like, oh, well, Carl is low effort and he didn't plan the date that he and Aniya had. He didn't plan that date. Production planned the date. Oh, that's the wrong picture. Hold on. Where is it? Y'all, my mouse is getting on my nerves. Why isn't it? Hold on, y'all. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, there it goes. But yeah, they're like, oh, well, production planned their fairy tale Princess and the Frog date, not him. But let me ask y'all something in the chat. If production had planned the same date for Casey and Titi, would it have mattered if Casey didn't plan it or not? Do you think the KC defenders would care if this fairy tale date was planned for Casey and Titi? Or do you think black women would eat it up because it was just, a black love fairy tale date? I think we all know the answer to that. So I do find it interesting that black women who have the lowest standards for black men and accept the bare minimum from black men, y'all suddenly have all these high ass standards for the non-black men on Love Island. Like, it's not consistent with y'all at all. So again, the real issue is that these women don't like that Aniya and Trinity are with non-black men. That's really just what it is. And a lot of y'all KC fans especially, you're not mad that this season was supposedly rigged. That's not what you're mad about. You're mad that it wasn't rigged specifically in black men's favor. You're mad that black men didn't benefit from the show in the same way black women did. That's why you're mad. And like I said before, especially when it comes to the black men, I would argue that they're more upset about Melanie and Kata not being with unambiguous black men. They're mad at Aniya and Trinity too, but I think they're really mad at Kata and Melanie too because they're the preferences. So they feel entitled to the preferences. Now they do feel entitled to dark-skinned women too because, we're black, even though they don't prefer us for the most part. But because we're black women, they feel entitled to us too. But they feel entitled to mixed race women because that's first choice for them. So they feel entitled to both groups, but for different reasons. So they're really pissed off that both groups of women that they feel entitled to ended up in the final four with all non-black men. That's why everybody's upset. But if this show was rigged in their favor as black men and it was all all black men with non-black women or racially ambiguous women, they would not care, y'all. I'm telling you, they would not give a fuck. And the only reason KC's fans rooted for he and Titi is because he was the only dark-skinned black man left on the show. And they wanted him in the final four. It has nothing to do with their desire for black love, because it wouldn't matter. It would not matter if Titi, and that's another thing, y'all. Like, I want you to understand, and I said this before, and I feel like I should say it again. Black men are not upset about this for the same reason you are. Okay. You're upset that a black couple didn't make it to the final four because you want to see black love on your screen. Okay. Black men are upset because they feel the black male representation on the show was being erased. Black men are upset because a black man didn't make it to the final four. They don't give a shit about Titi. And see, what black men do, they make it about black love to trigger black women and to get us to fight on their behalf. And unfortunately, it worked on a lot of y'all. And, I was thinking too, like, which I didn't know this, but apparently, and y'all can, I'm a newer Love Island watcher. So I didn't know. I thought that Cordell and Serena were the only black couple who won the show, but apparently it's been more than one. I don't know if they were including like the UK Love Island US or the UK Love Island people, but apparently it's been like 4 black couples or something like that. Am I right about that? I think that's what I was seeing on TikTok. Okay, so Dorothy says, nope, several black couples have won in the USA. Yeah, so y'all, and this whole time, even I was like, okay, maybe they are racist. But when I found that out, I was like, oh. So, I don't think there's some conspiracy to suppress the black love representation, y'all. I just think that Love Island, it goes with what the audience wants to see every season. And in this particular season, they not only wanted a swirl couple to win, but they just found them more likable. That's just what it is. Oh, Thema says it depends on how you define black. Okay, so I guess some mixed race people won too. Okay, well, whatever, child. But either way, like, I'm glad that KC and TT didn't win because their optics aren't the best. Again, KC is a pandering hotep, faux-tap. That's what I call them. Faux-tap black man. TT is a low-budget video vixen that was online caping for a man she only knew for 3 days. And then, I don't know if y'all remember Family Day. That's another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. Casey and his mama on Family Day. Did y'all see when his mama, she said something about, what did she say? She was like, oh, I'm glad you defended my son, or something she said like that. And to me personally, and I don't know, you can let me know if I'm reaching, to me it kind of felt like she's one of those mothers a little bit that kind of coddle her son a little bit. I don't know. And you could tell she was holding back. She seemed like she wanted to go off on that villa. A lot of y'all were saying that she looked like she didn't like TT, but I don't know. I think she wanted to go off on the other people in the villa for jumping on her son. I think she had beef with Kada and Trinity and Aniya especially. I think she had beef with them. But it was giving, I'm a black mother, typical black mother who coddles her son. So it makes a lot of sense why KC said that TT reminds him of his mom. And so, that's another reason why I don't care that they didn't win. We don't need any more pro-black mammy optics. And that's what both TT and Casey's mama gave. And, even though Aniya and Trinity, definitely, they're not perfect. Their, image is not perfect. They do have work to do, especially Aniya. TT, to me, has a lot more work to do on her image outside of Love Island. And with her history of being a video vixen and all these blackmail videos. It's just, I personally have more faith that Trinity and Aniya can bring us corrective promotion, as opposed to Titi. Now, that my mind could change about that, but that's how I feel right now. I could be totally wrong. Thema says, my son, okay? Y'all know how them black boy moms be. They are insufferable. And then some of you, there was one girl in my comment section, she was upset because I didn't talk about this. I didn't see this, y'all. Y'all got to send me stuff. So she sent me this. And this is a post from CeraVe. And I did see the other people as well making memes masculinizing TT. And the brand CeraVe even jumped in on it. And listen, I don't condone this at all. And I see how harmful this is to Black women overall. And honestly, I do think these racist brands should be held accountable for this. And I think CeraVe sponsored the show, right? And so, yeah, this is very unacceptable. I don't condone this at all. But what irritates me about the KC defenders who are complaining about this ad is that any other time, y'all fully co-sign the masculinization of Black women. You support Black women being attack dogs for Black men, Black women like Titi. You support Black women fighting on the front lines for Black men against the system of white supremacy. A lot of y'all, you went against the femininity movement for Black women. You went against the movement. I was there. A lot of you don't support Black women being soft and feminine for real. You think that's weak. You think that's Eurocentric, remember? So while a lot of y'all, you might not be doing exactly what CeraVe did. You might not be, posting memes with TT with muscles on her or whatever. You might not be doing what the racists do, but you're still fully contributing to the masculinization of both TT and other Black women by co-signing us mammying for KC and other Black men. And I think that's what y'all don't understand. And you will continue to masculinize us without the help of white people, without the help of these racist corporations. You do that already without them. So I'm sorry, not sorry, but I can't take your outrage about this seriously either. Let me see you actually support Black women being feminine instead of treating us like men all the time, instead of treating us like men and soldiers for white supremacy. Then I'll take you seriously. Again, like, oh my God, like the whole commentary about this show, it's like, where were y'all at when we were talking about this shit? Where were y'all at when we were talking about the masculinization of Black women? Where have you been this whole time? The minute a Black man gets embarrassed on TV, now y'all want to start making the same talking points we've been making for years, and you just showed up to the conversation? Fuck all of y'all. Y'all are so full of shit, bro. Like, it's so annoying to me. It's so annoying, and it's so fake. It's so fake. And let's just be honest. The real reason most of y'all like TT is because she embodies a lot of that masculine, pro-Black energy. You like that on Black women. If TT was softer and more feminine and dainty and soft-spoken, y'all wouldn't even like her like that. Let's just keep it real. So y'all are full of shit. I don't believe none of y'all and y'all fake outrage with this. Yeah, I talked about Sincere's family earlier. And by the way, too, when it comes to TT, I just want y'all to know she's on thin ice with these red pill niggas. Because the KC defenders and red pill men, they're using TT right now to, like, promote this whole Black love thing to get Black women on their side and to get Black women to fight for them. They like her right now because she's with KC. And they only fucking with her because they like him. Right? But I'm telling you now, TT gonna have to walk a tightrope, because if she doesn't, or if her and KC break up, those red pill niggas gonna turn on her and drag her for filth. Mark my words. And it's because of her history of being a video vixen. They might not be saying nothing about it right now, but if her and KC break up, oh, it's over. It's over. She's on very thin ice with them. At least the KC type black men. Now, I think the ghetto rapper niggas, they'll always embrace her. You know, niggas like, what's his name? Lil Keed, niggas like that, whoever the fuck he is, they'll embrace her. But the red pill incel types who are defending KC, the Hotep niggas, yeah, they gonna drag her at some point. Mark my words. If they yeah, she's gonna be a 304, and if they break up, they're gonna be like, oh, she was always for the streets. Just watch what I'm saying. I don't know who Lil Keed is, girl. I don't know. Y'all sent me these screenshots. I don't know who these niggas are. So I hope she walks a tightrope, because you know how quickly these niggas will turn on you. They'll turn on you fast. So, girl, I don't know. And I don't know, you know, we talk about this stuff and we kind of can predict what the men are going to do because we pay attention to patterns. So maybe they'll purposely not do the whole podcast thing now because they know we're expecting it. But I just don't have faith that niggas are that strategic. Like, I'm just waiting for TT and KC to pop up on a podcast. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting. Mia says they about to be even more embarrassed. Harper Bazaar just released an article about misogyny and incel behavior on Love Island. Ooh, Casey on the cover. What? Oh, the mammies are about to have a meltdown. Harper's Bazaar. Ooh, it's about to be over. The mammies are about to have a meltdown. Harper's Bazaar is huge. And thank you for the super chat, Mia. Let me scroll up. Oh. Girlie says, did you see Trinity defend Zach? I understand that's her friend, but optics don't look good. And I don't think Zach would have done that for her. Same. Goes back to what I said about black women mammying for everybody. Listen, I understand that Trinity was in the villa with Zach for all these weeks. That's cool or whatever, but Trinity, that's not your real friend. And I 100% agree with you, girlie. I don't think that Zach will do that for her. Absolutely not. So the girls need to burn the cape. Oh, yeah. I didn't see that Harper's Bazaar article. Somebody send it to me. AskChrissy@gmail.com. Okay, I'll check the video, Taylor. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I didn't see that. But anyway, now let's discuss KC and this buck breaking thing, because that's like the new buzzword everybody's using, that KC was buck broken on TV. And I guess, you know, according to KC fans, the buck breaking happened when KC was yelled at by Aniya and the other women on the show, and Aniya stood up and got in his face. And, you know, like I've already stated, I do believe Aniya was wrong for standing up and getting in KC's face. I don't think that's safe for women to do that, you know, with men, especially black men. But Aniya did apologize. KC apologized. They moved on, at least on the show. But KC's fan base will not let this go, because in the end, they're mad that a black man was not in the Final Four. So they don't want to let this go. And personally, I believe that KC fans, are using the yelling and supposed buck breaking and all the hatred they say KC is getting from Black women. I think they're using that as a smokescreen to kind of cover up the fact that they're really just mad that he didn't make it to the Final Four. And another thing is, I really think that KC fans are upset because they're used to Black women just caping for them no matter what. They're used to Black women choosing them no matter what. And I think that because a lot of the audience, because we didn't do that, because we didn't jump and defend him, and we're actually calling him out and, holding him accountable, I feel like Black men and their mammies, they're taking it really hard because they're not used to Black women doing that. And I think, they felt like because Black women have always had to deal with colorism and racism and rejection on these reality shows, that we were just going to jump and defend him. But no, the whole time we've been left to defend ourselves without the help of Black men. So many of us are refusing to defend and coddle Black men like KC because we're like, where were you when it was us? And so I think that's part of the issue here. And so now they're like, oh, they're just really infantilizing and victimizing the Black man. And it's like, I keep hearing, oh, well, what about the Black man's mental health? What about the mental health? What about it? Because I was present for the last season of Love Island. I don't recall this many Black men or Black women, to be honest, showing this level of concern for Olandria and Shelly's mental health when they were relentlessly attacked by racists, when they were making memes of Olandria's face on George Floyd's body, when huge corporations like BuzzFeed were making racist posts about Shelly. Do y'all remember that? Where were Black men then? Where were Black men where they were doing hit pieces against Olandria and talking about her looks and trying to make Olandria and Shelly out to be the angry Black women on the show? Where were Black men then? Where was the concern for their mental health? There was so much hatred toward those women last season. Y'all remember. And Olandria, she's still getting hate to this day, but I just don't recall Black people as a collective having so much concern for the mental health of Black women when that was happening. I don't recall anybody putting together a change.org petition to support Olandria and Shelly and to go against the Love Island franchise like they did for KC. I don't remember all this last season when it was Black women. I don't remember. I don't recall this many Black women threatening to boycott Love Island either. So, it's just very obvious to me that the community has more concern for the Black man's mental health and well-being than the Black woman's. And that is why I'm not caping for KC, because I just can't bring myself to do it. Because y'all never have this much concern for us. And look at this. Somebody sent me this too. I'm assuming this is real, but some mammy done put together a GoFundMe for KC and Titi. This is crazy. A GoFundMe for what? I can't take it. Did Olandria get a GoFundMe last season? Did Shelly get a GoFundMe? Y'all, I can't. I just can't. Like, this woman says, how can we get in contact with KC's team so we can open a GoFundMe to give him that 100K? Oh, okay. So they're doing a GoFundMe so he can get the 100K. Support. This is crazy, y'all. Black women don't even give other Black women this much support. That's how you know it's over. Like, this community is so trash. Y'all see how they show up for Black men? It's just crazy. This is crazy to me. I'm just like, wow. It is ridiculous. And then if y'all are so concerned about bullying, because I put this on here too. I I I saw this a couple times, this meme, but I just kind of ignored it. I didn't realize how much this meme was floating around. I didn't realize how much y'all were reposting this. And it's like, but y'all claim to care about the mental health of black people. Y'all didn't care about Aniya's mental health with the way y'all bullying her. And there was another meme too, or another screenshot I saw of her in a bonnet. So a lot of people, especially on TikTok, who are KC fans, they're posting this picture and the other picture of Aniya in a bonnet to basically make fun of her looks, to insult her looks. But you expect me to believe that you care about bullying and mental health? You don't care about that. And listen, I said too, I didn't like the girl's hair either this season. I didn't like any of the girls' hair. I talked about that in another live stream. But using it to bully, like using somebody's picture of their hair looking bad to bully them on the internet, I'm not doing that. I wasn't posting the meme of Aniya everywhere on social media to make fun of her. And I think black women, especially who do this kind of stuff, you do a disservice to yourself when you do this. And y'all know me, I'm equal opportunity. I criticize everybody's hair on the show. I criticize Soul's hair, Kata's hair. Now, could you imagine? Could you imagine if when I criticize Soul and her haircut and Kata's hair, could you imagine if I posted a meme of them and to make fun of them, to make fun of their hair? I would be canceled. I would be called bitter, jealous, and insecure. Y'all would be talking, oh, well, you don't care about the mental health of Kata and Soul. Why are you posting that? That's what y'all would tell me. But see, there are different rules for light-skinned women and black men too. Y'all can poke fun at us all day long if our hair looks bad. But it's blasphemous if we do the same thing to you. It's blasphemous if we joke about a light-skinned woman's hair. But with dark-skinned black women, anything goes. So I notice how, y'all really don't care about mental health. Like, the only time you care about mental health is with black men and women who are not dark. Let's just tell the truth. Let's tell the truth about that. How do you say your name? Jusalite? I don't know. Yep, Casey's hairline was fucked up the whole season. I saw that patch he had. I didn't notice a patch, but that's hilarious. Yeah, and I did notice that Trinity gave Aniya a wig, and like I said, I didn't like the girl's hair either this season. Um, and but Aniya's hair got better as this towards the end of the season. Trinity's hair got better towards the end of the season too, and I was glad that Trinity gave Aniya a wig. But the reason I didn't like the hair, it didn't have anything to do with anti-blackness, because I think that if the girls and just black women who go on these reality shows in general, if they were more willing to wear their own texture of hair and stop wearing these wigs and stuff, or even if they did wear wigs, like natural textured wigs, and if they knew how to style them, style natural hair extensions, they would actually look better. They would look better with more Afrocentric hairstyles. And I'm not just talking about braids. I'm talking about just natural hair. They probably would look better. The problem is they're forcing it with these wigs and the weaves that don't match their hair texture. And it just doesn't look good after being in a hot climate like that. And with all the water and the elements, and when they're doing the challenges with all the stuff they dump on their heads, and and so no, this is not, this is more like a 3C hair texture. I think this wig is. Yeah. But and I think Aniya's issue, it looks like here is she just didn't know how to take care of it that well. That's what it looks like. Or it was just old and it couldn't withstand the climate and all the stuff that it had been through. So that's what it is. And I think Trinity came prepared. She came with multiple wigs. And so I think these reality TV girls, they just need, like I said before, they just need a better strategy for their hair. That's all. Yeah, it said, I guess Aniya's hair got a little dry. Yeah, but either way, like I just don't think that's a reason to bully her and post the picture over and over again to make fun of her looks. Like that's not cool. And when I saw other black women doing that, I was like, yeah, that's out of pocket and it's just so unnecessary. Yeah, this might be her texture hair, but I kind of got a glimpse of her roots. I don't think it was. And I mean, if it was, you would think she would know how to take care of the wig a little bit better. I don't know. Yeah, I agree, Rachel. I didn't like anybody's hair this season. But yeah, these are the same people who swear up and down they care about the isms. They swear they care about bullying and mental health. It's like you don't. You don't care about that. You only care about it when it's people that you like. Like that's what or when it's black men. That's really what it is. Black men, light skinned women, they're off limits. Dark skinned women are not. That's really what it is. And so that's why when y'all say, oh, KC didn't deserve the dragging that he got, he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to be yelled at like that. That's why I don't have any sympathy. I really don't. And I keep hearing the argument that black women are just so much harder on KC because he's a dark skinned black man. And it's like, and I also heard somebody say that somebody said, and I didn't hear this, but I guess the girls on TikTok were accusing Casey of being an essayer. That, and I don't know, maybe it was because of the comment he made about Aniya and how she wasn't. Basically, he was suggesting that she wasn't sexually open enough with him. But that's also just another thing I think that a lot of the Casey fans are exaggerating because, like, I haven't heard a lot of black women call him an essayer. Have y'all? I haven't heard like a critical mass of black women saying that KC is an essayer. Now, y'all did say earlier that his ex-girlfriend came out and said that he was abusive. And that was my first time even hearing that today. But I didn't see a critical mass of black women calling him an essayer. So I just think that a lot of y'all are exaggerating the number of black women who said that to victimize and infantilize KC again. But when it comes to, the claim that I guess black women were harder on Casey than we are on Sincere because Sincere is mixed race. I think that when it comes to why black women have an issue with Casey, it's because those of us with some sense can see that he faked his attraction to Aniya to stay in the villa when nobody else wanted him. And the reason the girls yelled at Casey and not Sincere, I believe, this is what I believe, is because as much as Sincere lied to Melanie, he still didn't fake his attraction to her like Casey did with Aniya. That is a big deal for black women, right? And especially dark-skinned black women. Everybody knows why. And so when you're sitting there next to a man who faked his attraction, which by the way, if you go on a show like that, that is the first thing you should have. A base level attraction to your connection. KC didn't have that. And he faked that the whole time. Gave Aniya this whole speech. So yeah, the girls were upset about that. I don't think it had anything to do with KC being dark skinned. And I would say that if I really thought that. I don't feel that way. And the fact that KC nor his fans owned up to and that's the thing, he was over in Casa talking about how, he didn't have anything in common with Aniya. I could understand why the girls were upset and why that was very upsetting to them. Like, dude, you faked it this whole time. You didn't even have what was required at the base level for the show, which is attraction to the person you're with. And you pandered and pretended you did this whole time until you got over to Casa and you was talking different. And so to any logical person, like, that's going to look like you faked it. And if you remember, this is the same thing that happened with Taylor and Alandria in season 7. And that's why the girls were mad at Taylor. And so I guess it just irritates me the way people act like you don't understand where the anger is coming from. I don't like how the Hoteps and the KC fans act like they don't understand where we're coming from, or where that level of anger is coming from, specifically when it comes to KC. Like, that's not coming from thin air. Girly says these new fans forgot that Serena pushed a plate of food in Cordell's face and called him nappy headed. What? They could not handle season 6. Aniya was not that bad. What? I did not know that. Yeah, I haven't heard anybody bring that up. That's just real interesting. Again, I just and see, that makes me think even more that the main reason why they're like really, going on and on about KC being yelled at is because he didn't make it to the Final Four, and it's because a black man didn't make it to the Final Four. The reason they were probably able to excuse that with Serena and Cordell is because they won that season. That's the only thing I'm thinking. And the fact that, with this season, it was all non-black men in the Final Four and black women and mixed race women in the Final Four with non-black men. Now they're just going to focus on the way KC got yelled at to kind of deflect from that. And to make it about him, all about KC, to take attention away from the black women who won the season. Like, that's just really what this is all about. And I see right through it. Like, that's really what it is. They're mad that the black women with the white men won the show. Like, that's why they're mad. It ain't got nothing to do, in my opinion, it has little to do with KC being yelled at. Like, really, that's what I believe. And to me, it's just manipulative how they're trying to make it seem like it's about one thing when it's really about another. And then I'm even seeing some black women. I saw, quite a few black women defending Corbin too. Like, defending Corbin over Aniya. And I'm like, Corbin didn't choose not near black woman on the show. He is the colorist that y'all say Aniya is. So why are y'all defending him, of all people? And I guess because he's a half black man that y'all identify as black. I don't know. But I saw black women caping for him too. And I just thought that was weird. Like, they was like, oh yeah, Corbin and Parmita deserve to be there more than Carl and Aniya. I'm like, why are you caping for Corbin? That's the weird. And I thought a lot of y'all claim that you're so pro-black love. Corbin and Parmita, that's not a black love couple. So what happened to that? And again, I agree that Corbin and Parmita have more genuine chemistry than a lot of the couples on the show. However, he does not deserve a cape for black women. He don't fuck with black women like that. That's why I can't take any of you so-called pro-black people seriously. Like, it's like they are that upset about a black woman being with a white man or a mixed race man They're so upset about that they would rather see a mixed race man and a non-black woman win the show. You got to think about how crazy that is. And this is black women. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. And then a lot of y'all, you'll do that. You'll throw your own image under the bus. You'll throw other black women under the bus, and then you'll still expect a special treatment. Oh, I'm a black woman. You're not protecting me. We can't protect black women who don't protect black women. We can't do that. We can't protect black women who are siding with red pillars and other harmful black men. We can't protect black women that are throwing other black women under the bus because you mad that they were a white man. Like you don't deserve protection if you mad about that. You don't. And you don't get a pass from us just because you're another black woman. If you're siding with these Hotep red pill niggas, you're going to get treated like a Hotep red pill nigga. That's how you're going to get treated. We protect black women who protect black women. Okay? We don't protect mammies and pick-me's because y'all are dangerous to other black women. That's what it is. And listen, I was a mammy too. And when I was a mammy, I didn't understand that. But I do now. And that's why I had to burn the cape. And listen, I encourage all black women who have not burned the cape yet and are caping for KC, you probably need to go ahead and burn the cape too. You do need to burn the cape. I know a lot of you see your sons and your fathers and your husbands and your boyfriends in KC, but KC is not your husband and your boyfriend and he's not that. He's not your family member. And he and his fans, they would never go hard for you like you're going hard for him. You don't know KC. You don't know that nigga. He don't know you. And it's highly likely that he will never defend you. Oh, wait, I missed the... Yeah, they're pro-black man. That's what they are. And I wish they would just admit that. Girly says, Aniya should not have cape for sincere. That's her main criticism from fans. Like, people like that Corbin called him out, so they forget everything else he did. Yeah, I said that about Aniya too. I don't like that she cape for sincere either, but KC and Titi also were rooting for Sincere and Melanie, like I said earlier. And like, even if you don't, y'all, and this is what I want black women to understand. Even if you see that a mixed race man, right, who don't fuck with black women, even if you see him do something that you agree with that maybe you're upset that another black woman didn't do, I understand. Corbin held Sincere accountable. Aniya did not. We understand that, right? But that still does not mean that you should jump into defense mode for Corbin. Corbin don't fuck with you. Okay? He does not deserve a cape. That's all I'm saying. What? Creme Brulee says Titi compared her relationship to Romeo and Juliet. Child, I can't. Yeah, I talked about that, Dorothy. I talked about that, and I can't remember. I think it was the first live stream. The first live stream I did on this season of Love Island. I talked about how non-black women moved on Love Island. And how we could take notes from that. Yeah, I definitely talked about that. Abby says, to be fair, Corbin defines himself as Jamaican. Oh, y'all told me he was, what did y'all tell me he was mixed with? I think Chinese. I don't know. Yeah, Christina says Shelly was moving somewhat like that last season. Yep, she was. Okay, Jamaican and Chinese. Yeah. I knew it was something like that. Yeah, he made it very clear he was mixed. Yeah, I mean, either way, I mean, like I said, I just don't feel like he deserves to be defended by black women. Like, I don't feel like he's done enough to, like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, you can acknowledge that, okay, he held Sincere accountable. Okay, that's fine. But like, going on and on, like the girls on TikTok were like, yeah, and I would prefer to see. I'm like, girl, that's when y'all lose me. When y'all start rooting for his couple over the black woman's couples just because they're with white men, that's what I don't like. So, it is what it is. But what else did I want to say? Yeah, I didn't, and don't get me wrong, Corbin and Parmita, I feel like their connection was strong, but I didn't like their personalities. So, and again, that's part of Love Island. Whether y'all like it or not, you have to be a little bit likable to the audience too. You have to be likable. It's not just about compatibility. You have to be likable too. Honestly, like looking at Corbin's followers, a lot of y'all like Corbin because he got a lot of followers after leaving the villa. I think a lot of girls are attracted to him. That's probably why he got all them followers. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to check my email. Um, yeah, but one thing though, another thing I kept hearing too was that, like, I kept hearing a lot of criticism towards the women, such as myself, who criticized KC. And a lot of things I heard too was like, oh, a lot of y'all black women, the only reason why y'all are defending Aniya is because you can relate to being rejected by a black man, or you are like the rejected black woman or something like that. Like I kept hearing that over and over again from so many different people. And I find that to be interesting because that is why y'all identify with KC, because he was rejected on the show. And so the main reason black men started watching Love Island and started crying about the show is because of rejection. And that's all I've been seeing for the last month. I've been seeing a bunch of hurt, bitter, insecure, jealous black men and their mammies, the colorism crybabies, okay, whining online because a dark-skinned black man didn't get picked enough on this season of Love Island. So who is the colorism crybaby now? And yes, I'm going to hit y'all with the same insults that I've heard over the last decade as a dark-skinned woman who talks about colorism. How are you saying that we identify with Aniya because she was rejected when that's why you identify with KC? So that's one talking point that was very interesting to me. And then I keep hearing the KC apologists say, oh, well, you misandrous, you sound like the red pill incels that you complain about. And I want to ask y'all this, to the pro blacks out there who think we're misandrists over here, who think we're black misandrists, which I don't care about that term. You can call me that. I really don't give a fuck. But if you say that being an incel is bad, and we supposedly sound like red pill incels, why are you defending red pill incel behavior? Why are you defending KC, who follows incel men online, if being an incel is bad? That's what I don't understand about you supposed pro-black women. Y'all will call us femcels and misandrists for criticizing black men, and then you'll turn around and put your cape on for incels and misogynists. Make it make sense. And I don't think some of you women realize how much you sound like red pill men yourself, because look at all the insults that you're using against Aniya and those of us who defend her or who are humanizing her. Because I think most of the women who are humanizing Aniya, we also have our criticism for Aniya too. We're not just defending her, we're also criticizing her too. But look at the insults y'all throw at us. We're femcels. We're mad because we got rejected by black men. We can't get a black man. That's a big one I heard. Y'all mad because you can't get a black man. Like, who can't get a black man? Like, y'all say that like they hard to get. Oh, you don't have a good black man in your life. That's another one I heard. And God forbid we have any criticism for a light-skinned woman like Soul on the show. They really had meltdowns about that. Then they really started sounding like the incels. Oh, y'all jealous. Y'all jealous of light-skinned women. You hate light-skinned women. We mad at KC because we can't get a man. All of that is exactly what the red pill black men say. So you're the one who sounds like them, not us. Kay Marie says, unfortunately, I can't get them to leave me alone. Girl, it's not hard to get a black man. Meanwhile, you know, the women who say this, I find it interesting because they're not married for the most part. Most of the women I heard say this, I didn't see a ring on anything. They not married. Some of them are lying about being married. Some of them are baby mamas to black men. They raise their children alone. Some of them, they admit to being abused by black men or have been in the past. Because I noticed that talking point too. They'll be like, I don't know where all these misandrists are coming from. I was abused by a black man. I was R-worded by a black man. That didn't make me hate all black men. That's a huge talking point they use. And I'm like, girl, you ain't mad enough if you ask me, because I'm a quote unquote misandrist, and guess what? I've never been R-worded by a black man. I've never been abused by a black man. I have a great black father. I've never been abused, at least outside of the internet, I'll say. These online niggas, they're a different story. They're abusive. But outside of the internet, I've never been abused by a black man. I've never been inappropriately touched by a black man. It seems like to me, I've actually suffered less abuse at the hands of black men or black men than most of the black women who are online defending black men and who are coming against me for criticizing black men. So that falls in line with my theory that the biggest mammies for black men are often the women who have been abused by black men the most. And I find that very ironic. It's almost like they're suffering from a form of Stockholm syndrome. That's what I think. I said that a long time ago because I noticed that a lot of the mammies online, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but a lot of them will say, they'll admit that they've been abused by black men. And they'll be like, oh, I was left with a baby and everything, and I'm not bitter about black men. That's not a flex, babe. Because it's starting to look like you have Stockholm syndrome. Because you're defending the men the type of men who would do that to a black woman. And so I just feel like those of us who actually do have decent black men in our lives, who had fathers, black fathers who raised us to have high standards in men, we don't defend or coddle or protect black male losers because our black fathers taught us not to do that. I tell you all the time, it was my black father who taught me how to be hypergamous, not my mother. Well, my mother did too, but not as much as my father did. And that's why I came online with the pro-black male mindset, because I actually do have good black men in my life. But once I realized that black men collectively were not like my father, were not like the black men I have in my personal life, and they taught me that by their abuse online, by the way. That's when I learned that. That's when I learned that, oh, most black men are not like the black men I know. And once I figured that out, I quickly burned the cape. And, you know, if I had not had a father who encouraged me to have high standards in men, I probably would be like a lot of the mammies. I probably would just accept the mistreatment from them like they do. So I think the mammies got it twisted. Those of us who don't like KC, or men like him, or don't like his fan base, we actually do have good men in our lives, and that's why we don't like them niggas. That's why. It's actually the opposite of the narrative that you mammies are trying to run with. And the reason why y'all defend KC and men like him is because you're used to men like that. You're used to the bare minimum black men. You're used to having bare minimum experiences with men. And so you think KC is a prize. That's the issue. Your daddies are bare minimum. Your baby daddies are bare minimum. Your husbands are bare minimum. Your boyfriends are bare minimum, like KC. And a lot of y'all are dealing with men, black men, who also have a lukewarm attraction to you and have preferences for women who don't look like you. A lot of you niggas or a lot of you black men are having kids with niggas who don't even like what your kids look like. Y'all want to talk about that though. Let's clock that T. That's why y'all are defending niggas like KC. That's why. You're used to dealing with black bums, black male bums. You're used to dealing with men who are worse than KC. You're used to jailbirds. You're used to delinquents. So you see KC as a prize because he's never been to jail or he has a job. Basic shit that normal people have. But see, again, since you used to ain't shit niggas, you think that basic shit is impressive. That's what you think. So it's actually y'all who don't have good men in your lives. That's really what it is. That's why you fall for the hotep pandering that KC was spitting, because you're used to that type of shit. You're used to niggas lying and pandering to you and running game on you, whether it was your baby daddies or whatever. That's how they got a baby out of you, because they was running that hotep game on you. They was black queening you to death instead of putting a ring on it. That's why. Sydney, exactly. Sydney says, good men taught us how to vet ain't shit niggas. Exactly. That's why we can see through the bullshit. See, they don't know about this life, though. They don't know. So let's not get this twisted. Like Sydney said, we have men in our lives that taught us how to have high standards. You don't have that. And that's why you think we're mean. And that's why you think we're evil and that we hate black men. So it's not that we can't attract a good man. It's not that we can't get a good man. It's that y'all are not used to having shit. And that's why you really believe that KC of all people is worth defending. And you really think that his Love Island experience and you think that's the hill you should die on. So all you're doing is revealing what kind of men that you're used to dealing with, Buki. And that is, once again, low effort, bare minimum, lying, pandering ass niggas or worse. That's what you're used to dealing with. So, ladies, at this point, you should see if somebody calls you a black misandrist or a femcel, you should see it as a compliment at this point, because it typically just means that you have higher standards for men than most black women in the community. That's typically what it means. All it means is that you happen to be a black woman who does not tolerate abuse or low effort from black men or from men in general. You don't tolerate lukewarm attraction from black men. That's pretty much what that means. All it is it's just popular gaslighting terms. It's going to be a new term every few years. That's what I've learned too. And this year it's femcel and misandrous. In a couple years, it'll be a new term. So it's just the same repackaged shaming language that these pro-blacks use to keep black women mammying for black men instead of rightfully holding them accountable for their bullshit. So just add that, add misandrous, add femcel to the list, and just stop. Don't let those words trigger you. That's one thing I've learned not to do over the years. I don't let certain words trigger me anymore. Bitter, insecure, jealous. I don't let none of that trigger me no more. And the same thing goes for misandrous, femcel. Girl, I don't give a fuck about none of that. Not Miss Sandy. Yeah, Lexiana says they come up with different terms every year. We still don't give a fuck. Exactly. Yeah, bedwench. That was very popular when I came online. Bedwench was a very popular word. Yep, uppity, bougie. Usually when the black community is using those terms against you, it's because you're doing something right. Usually it just means you have high standards in men. That's what it means. Yeah, wannabe white girl, all that means is that you have high standards. That's all that means. That's all that means. Yeah, they tell me that all the time. I mean, you want to be a white woman. What is that? It's another term they use now. What is it called? The myth of white womanhood. That's a big one. That's what the hoteps are talking about now. And I guess that's what they say. We believe in the myth of white womanhood because we want to be in a hypergamous relation, basically because we want provider men. And so now we're feeding into the myth of white woman. Oh, I'm telling you, they come up with something new every couple years. It's something new. God forbid a black woman want a provider man. God forbid we want a good husband or a good father for our children. Then we're feeding into the myth of white womanhood. Yeah, that's what these hoteps say. God forbid we want some good corrective promotion. We want good media promotion. Meanwhile, they want all the same things, y'all. They want all the same things that we want. They want a bigger piece of the pie. They want to sit at Massa's table. They want to be, traditional men. They want to be like white men. They want to sit at the white man's table, but nobody's telling them they believe in the myth of white fatherhood or white malehood. Nobody's telling them that. So do y'all believe in the myth of white manhood because you want to sit at the white man's table, because you really want to replace him as patriarchs in this country, or at the very least you want to sit beside him? So is that the myth of white manhood? Is that what that is? Why don't they ever talk about that? D. Yvonne says, Chrissy, what are your thoughts on Carl? People are saying he's Kenny 2.0 and being performative as fuck. Do you think they'll last? Like I said earlier, I'm keeping my eye on Carl. I just need to see more from him to know if he's genuine or not. I don't know if he's being performative or not. He could be. I don't put it past any man to be performative. Now, if he's Kenny 2.0, I don't know. That might be a reach, especially considering that y'all told me that he's been with black women before. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I just want to know, like, where are they getting that from? Like, is it the hotep saying that? Because if it's the hotep saying that, I can't take nothing they say serious. Because apparently, because I actually did see somebody talking about that, and they were saying that it was some black guy who went on Love Island. I don't know if he won, but it was some black guy who went on Love Island and secretly was dating white women, but he went on Love Island to pursue a black woman. And so it's not just non-black men who get on these shows and lie about who they like, y'all. So if Carl is on that shit, then we'll call him out when that time comes, when that's revealed. But okay, Caleb, I think I think I saw that. So it was a season 2 winner. So girl, how come we don't hear about that? And why aren't the hoteps talking about Caleb? Do you see how they focus so much on these non-black men who they say are so racist and so performative? Meanwhile, you got black men who are going on the show faking, acting like they're interested in black women, but got white girls at home. Why aren't the hoteps talking about Caleb? How come I'm just now hearing about this? I can't take y'all serious. Exactly. Lily said because it goes against their narrative. Okay, Caleb is mixed. Don't matter. It don't matter. Because they be claiming mixed women, mixed men any other time. And until it doesn't fit their narrative anymore. Child, I just can't. But yeah, we'll just have to see with Carl. I don't know. They said Timmy from season 4 did the same. Okay, is Timmy mixed too, or is he black? Because y'all know that'll be a way for him for y'all to like get him out of what we're talking about. Is Timmy a black man or is he mixed? Well, okay, so Timmy, he's child. I can't. I'm gonna have to look these people up because I don't know who they are, child. Selena says, "Now who the fuck is Timmy, girl? I don't know." And see, this is why, y'all. This is why I don't like Love Island. Like overall, like I do enjoy some of the optics, you guys, but I still don't like Love Island overall. It is an entertaining show, but I just feel like it's too risky, if that makes sense. You know, you don't know, you really won't know if a man is full of shit until after the fact. And then also, you know, I didn't forget how Love Island did Olandria and Shelly last year. Okay, I didn't forget that. So Love Island is not off the hook with me. Even though I like this season and the optics, they're not off the hook for that. They definitely cleaned it up this season. They did, and that's cool. I'm glad they did that. But I still don't care for this particular promotional outlet for black women, and especially unambiguous dark-skinned black women, because I don't feel like I still don't know if it's completely worth it. And I keep saying that over and over again. I don't like the bullying that shows like Love Island subject black women to, from both non-black communities and the black community. Even this season is too much nonsense going on for my liking. It's too much bullying going on for my liking. Even though I love some of the optics, I don't like what the black women experienced on this season either. It's just too much for me. I don't like it. I don't like how much black women have to go through to reap the benefits from this show when they get on the other side. I don't like it. And listen, I know bullying and controversy and all that comes with being promoted, especially, you know, when dark-skinned women are being promoted. But the bullshit is just too excessive for me. It is. And it's because of the racism and the colorism. It's just so excessive. Like, I don't think that black women should have to deal with that just to enjoy a dating show. You know what I mean? And that's why I keep saying I don't particularly think black women should keep going on this show. I know that's unrealistic, but I'm just telling you how I feel. And it's not just, you know, I'm an INTJ, y'all, so I'm a bigger picture person. Like, I can't help but to think of the bigger picture. That's just how my brain works. And so I'm thinking of it from start to finish, right? I don't like it from start to finish. It starts with me from Black women consistently being last picked on the show. So it starts there, right? Right? So it starts with them always, consistently being at the bottom. We saw something different with Shelly, whatever. But for the most part, and this is from what y'all told me, because I asked y'all, I said, do Black women typically have the experience of Shelly or Olandria when they go on a Love Island? Y'all told me Olandria. And so that tells me that on that show, and let's just be real, on most dating shows, Black women are typically going to be at the bottom. So that's the first thing I don't like, right? And then it puts them in the situation where they're settling for people that they don't want, or people are settling for them because they don't have anybody else, right? Then if they pair up with a non-Black man, there's going to be a ton of accusations that the relationship is fake. The Black woman in the interracial relationship, she's going to be constantly harassed for not being with a Black man, especially by the Black community. She has to deal with racism on top of all of that from the non-Black people, the white people, right? It's just so much harassment. I mean, Alandria, she can't even go to events with Nick like that because all the harassment that she gets for being with a white man. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad that Alandria is doing her own thing. I'm glad that, I feel like she should prioritize her personal brand over her relationship with Nick, right? But I do notice how she can't really take him nowhere because she gets harassed for it. And I don't like how she has to minimize her relationship with a white man because the Black community can't handle it. I don't like that, Especially when you consider how Black men, they've been able to walk around freely with their non-Black partners for decades and still be highly successful. Nobody really gives a fuck. And it can be like Hotep niggas too. Hotep, pro-Black this, fist in the air, I have a dream, Black queen ass niggas walking around with white women. Nobody gives a fuck. But Alandria can't take Nick to a function without getting harassed. Like, that bothers me. So I don't like Love Island because it never can just be a win for Black women without all the extra unnecessary bullshit. Like, I don't like that. And maybe it's temporary because, people are still getting used to Black women swirling. So maybe after the shock factor fades off, this will go away over time. Maybe when people are used to Black women being correctively promoted, maybe when they're used to Black women moving strategically in their romantic and their social lives and moving strategically promotionally, maybe when people get used to that, they'll stop, the harassment will kind of fade a little bit. But if it doesn't get better and it gets worse, like I honestly just think that Black women should just become hyper selective about the platforms that we go on. And I think we should do that anyway, But I don't feel like Love Island deserves Black women. I don't. I mean, if they can't even find time to vet men and get men on the show who genuinely like Black women and dark-skinned Black women, if they can't even vet out the colorist men, if they're not willing to do that, I just don't think it's a good platform for dark-skinned Black women to go on. That's just my opinion. That's my observation about Alandria. I could be completely wrong, but it just seems like she strategically leaves Nick out when it comes to her going to certain functions because she doesn't want to be harassed. And they already talked about how they became more private with their relationship because it was just too much. People were just, the parasocial fans and the harassment, both. So I don't know, y'all. I'm not okay with all that. The bullying just gets on my fucking nerves. Melee says usually they get Alandria's experience, but it's getting better in my opinion. At least they're getting more exposure, opportunities, better treatment, and options. Which one? I get it, but at what cost, girl? Like, why do they have to go through? It's like almost you have to go through a bullying initiation process just to get out on the other side and get the opportunities. That's why I say, for me, I don't think it's worth it. But maybe you're right, girl. I don't know. And like I said before, Olandria's experience is rare. What she did after coming out of Love Island, most of Black women don't do that. They're not able to do that. So maybe she set a foundation for that. Maybe she's a blueprint for that, and more Black women can do that going forward. I hope so. But if not, Black women need to say fuck Love Island. I don't, because it's too much bullshit on that show for me. And I was talking about this with another content creator. Sometimes I wish that Black women would move more like Asian women and not participate in mainstream media like that. And I'm talking about like mainstream media in the United States. Because that way there wouldn't be a chance for people to misrepresent us or undermine us or humiliate us if we really sit a lot of these opportunities out that would do that. You know what I mean? If we start vetting these opportunities better and be like, nah, I'm not gonna take that because I know this is about to be some bullshit, so I'm just not gonna be represented type shit. I feel like, I mean, I don't know about y'all. And listen, we would have to deal with like being underrepresented, but to me, that's better than being represented poorly. That's better than being misrepresented. And I said that before, like, I'd rather be underrepresented as a dark-skinned Black woman than misrepresented. And I wish that Black women would just start sitting this shit out, honestly. In my idea of a perfect world, Black women would move like a luxury brand. You only get me if it's the most exclusive, best experience, the best marketing, the best branding possible. That's the only way you gonna get me to show up type shit and participate in mainstream media promote. That's it. And so I just wish Black women would have that mindset. Like, only participate in mainstream promotion sparingly and only show up in the media when it's truly going to be beneficial to your image. And just, other than that, operate under the radar and come together in our spaces outside of the mainstream media and lift each other up and strategize. That's what I think is the best thing for Black women to do. But that would require us to really be strategic behind the scenes. That would require us to collectively divest from the media and the validation that comes with it. We would have to divest from all that. And I would be willing to do it. I would be totally down for that. But I also know that it's easier said than done, right? Because everybody around us would still have so much more visibility in the media. And I know that would probably make Black women, feel invisible. A lot of Black women. But, yeah. And see, that's what I was going to say too, Abby. Abby says, I disagree, Chrissy. We need to correct their current image first. Yeah. Part of correcting it, though, would be not in order to correct it, Abby, you have to say no to the bullshit. You have to say no. So it would be saying no to shows like Love Island. If you're going to show me, if you're not going to bring any men on there that even like me, and I have a high chance of being at the bottom, that would be a no. I would be like, no, I'm not going to take that opportunity. You have to say no first to correct it. That's the point. Because listen, even though Olandria is corrective promotion now, when she first got to Love Island, she was not. You get what I'm saying? So you can't, like, that shouldn't be the strategy. It shouldn't be, oh, I got to go through all this bullshit to make it out and do well. Olandria got to where she's at because we made so much noise for her. We came online, baby, we helped put Olandria on the map. We said, oh, hell no, not on my watch. Y'all not going to do Ola like that. Y'all not going to do Shelly like that. Y'all got Black women fucked up. That's why they made it. You get what I'm saying? But we shouldn't have to do all of that to just get basic respect. So we got to start saying no, ladies. We got to start saying no. No, you're not going to promote me until I get this. You're not going to, until I know that my image is going to be properly promoted, I'm not showing up. At some point, that's what Black women have to say. So just like we're talking about raising our standards in men, we got to raise our standards promotionally too. That's just what it's going to have to be, y'all. And that's kind of why I gave the example of Asian women. And I think that Asian women, they aren't really pressed about being in the media because, it's a different situation. They got a whole country, a whole thriving country that their men operate and control where they have their own media, right? So I can't make, it's not exactly the same. I can't equalize it. You know what I mean? Even though the Asians, they do have to deal with colorism, right? They do have to deal with colorism, but they have their own country where they can go to. And well, it's not to say that Black women can't. There are parts of Africa or whatever that I guess we could go to and get promotion. But how many Black Americans about to go to Africa for that? So it's different, right? And also here in the States too, Asian men are underrepresented just like the women. So there's not really an imbalance there. So I just feel like Black women would be left out or would feel left out with less promotion in this particular country because Black men are heavily promoted. But I still think that even if what I'm saying is not realistic at all, I still think that Black women could benefit from taking a luxury branding approach to our promotion. I'm gonna have to start talking more about that because I think it's time. Goddess says, "Oh my God, I think Black men were hoping that KC would get the Alandria treatment. They thought, they thought wrong, nigga. Hell no. What the fuck? You're not Alandria, sir. And we saw how y'all showed up when it was Alandria. We saw how y'all didn't show up when it was Alandria. So why the fuck would we show up for you niggas? No. N-O. We not showing up for you niggas. Absolutely not. I don't know who the fuck y'all think we were. Hell no. Now the mammies, you just gonna have to depend on the mammies, okay? Because the smart Black women, we not showing up for that. Yeah, they do want to be princesses, don't they? But yeah, I think we should start talking more about luxury branding now that we're getting the promotion. Now that we're getting more corrective promotion. And we're getting more opportunities, we're getting more visibility. People are obviously listening to our conversations. Yeah, we're gonna have to start talking about getting more selective with our promotion in the media. You can't just take every opportunity. You can't do that. And again, I know it's not realistic to expect every Black woman to take a luxury branding approach. The girls need money, they need work. So I get it. But I'm saying if enough of us did that, it would make a huge difference. It would make a huge difference with how we experience the mainstream media. And that sets a message, y'all, too. Like when we don't take certain opportunities and we demand to be represented in a certain way, that sets the precedent for how do you think Love Island cleaned up this season? Because we set the precedent for last season. We said, we will not tolerate this. Fix it. They fixed it. So as soon as you put your foot down and you start creating standards for yourself and your image, the corporate, they have no choice but to listen. They have no choice because we're not going to be their audience anymore. We're not going to be their viewership anymore. And so just like you have to set standards with men, ladies, you have to set your promotional standards too. Now, I don't expect this from the hood rats and the ghetto birds. I don't expect this from them, obviously. But I'm talking about the Black women who care about this kind of stuff. And I feel like it's enough of us to make change. I do. Yeah, I hope more classy Black women keep getting highlighted. It's time for some balance. Not every Black woman wants to be a Nicki, Megan, or Lotto. Exactly. So yeah, I do want to start talking more about this because I think it's a good conversation. Leona says, please talk more about how dark skin Black women should be strategic about our rep. I've emailed asking for help. I'll do that. Yeah, I don't give personal advice. Like, I try to stay away from that because I'm not like a life coach or a counselor or anything like that. So I don't give individual advice because I don't want to, be that responsible for people. Like, that's a little past my boundaries. But I will give collective advice. I will. But yeah, y'all, like I said, I see the good and bad and everything, y'all. I'm a bigger picture person, so even though I appreciate the optics this season, I still don't like Love Island. I don't. Sorry, I don't. I don't like the show. I still don't like it. I don't know if I'm gonna watch next season. It really just depends on the commentary and what comes out of it. Because I wasn't supposed to watch this season. Okay. So it just depends on how people are talking and acting and how people are treating the Black women on the show and how much noise people are making. It just depends on all that. Because I really do feel like my commentary was needed in this conversation about this season. I really do. Especially on YouTube. Because outside of Themis, I'm like, me, Themis, I can't think of anybody else. I haven't watched a lot of commentary on YouTube about this. Honestly, I've been looking at TikTok the most, but I feel like a lot of girls missed the mark on this one. Anyway, I gotta pee, y'all. I gotta use the bathroom, and I'm supposed to have some company tonight, but I don't know. It's 7. It's almost 8 o'clock. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. And thank you guys for all the birthday wishes. I celebrated my birthday the past weekend, so I took a little breaky break, but I'm back and I want to do some more content. So you can send your request to askprissy@gmail.com. Make sure you send me context like links and backstory, screenshots, and stuff like that. And I'll see if I can get to it. I still have to go through my emails from last week to see what topics y'all sent. So yeah. Yeah, thank you for all the birthday wishes. Thank you so much, Team Cancer. All right, y'all. I'm going to wrap this long ass live stream up. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know what you think about Love Island USA Season 8 in the comments if you're watching the replay. And if you didn't watch the show, let me know what you think about the optics. Let me know what you think about the optics of Trinity and Aniya and all the other women on the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye.